On the docket tonight, the Parkland massacre. Nikolas Cruz is facing a possible death sentence for murdering 17 people and wounding 17 more at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School on Valentine's Day 2018. We will talk live to the father of one of the victims in just a moment, but first, here's Court TV's Chanley Painter.
911, what is your emergency?
It's Valentine's Day 2018.
They believe there's a shooter at the school.
Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School is under siege. An active shooter is terrorizing the campus. It was just a normal day at school that suddenly turned to a nightmare for the city of Parkland, Florida. The massacre marked the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history. Surveillance video and witness identification led to the arrest of then 19-year-old Nikolas Cruz.
He was in my class in 7th grade, and I knew he wasn't okay when he punched the window in and said, "I'm gonna cause karma one day," because he got in trouble with the teacher.
Cruz was a former student at the school. He'd been expelled the year before, in February 2017, for disciplinary reasons. But records indicate he was a troubled person long before the massacre.
He was a huge threat to the school because of his behavior. When he was suspended, they found shells of bullets in his backpack.
Just 40 days earlier, a woman who knew Cruz told the FBI he was collecting guns and ammunition and feared he was, quote, going to slip into a school and start shooting the place up. What's more, investigative reports point to years of a disturbing digital trail. Cruz reportedly researched mass shootings and posted threatening messages all over the internet. This one says, "I'm going to be a professional school shooter." In fact, it would be those very phone records as well as school surveillance video that would help authorities piece together what they say happened. A little after 2 p.m., Cruz took an Uber from his home to the school about 3 miles away. Security video shows a male wearing black jeans, maroon shirt, vest, and hat, carrying a large black bag, enter Building 12. In the first floor stairwell, he takes out an AR-15 rifle. Just then, a student walks in, sees the gun, and hurries out. At 2:21 p.m., school video shows the active shooter terrorizing all 3 floors of the freshman building, taking the lives of 14 teenagers and 3 adults. Alerted by a fire alarm and what sounded like gunshots, the school resource officer, the only other person armed with a weapon on campus, makes his way towards the building, but does not go in.
We started hearing more and more shots, so then everyone started running.
Minutes later, the shooting finally stops. The suspect drops the weapon and tactical gear, and authorities say he left campus, blending in to the crowd. Police hadn't even entered the building yet. At 3:36 p.m., more than an hour later, Cruz was stopped and arrested. Authorities interrogate Cruz and appear to secure a confession. He is charged with 17 counts of first-degree premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder. During hours-long questioning, Cruz informs the detective he hears voices in his head that tell him to
burn, kill, destroy.
Cruz now faces the death penalty at trial.
I understand fully what you're saying.
Okay, are you having any trouble concentrating?
No.
His lawyers say Cruz is prepared to plead guilty in return for a life sentence, an offer the prosecutors have rejected.
Joining us now is the father of one of the victims of the Parkland shooting, Tony Montaldo. Tony's daughter, 14-year-old Gina, was working on a project in the hallway when the shooting began. Tony is the president of Stand With Parkland, the National Association of Families for Safe Schools. And Tony, we're going to talk about the upcoming trial and Nikolas Cruz a little bit in a bit. But I want to start with something that that your organization is trying to get out with schools now going back to in-person learning. You were asking people to take some time just to talk about what's in place at schools. You've got 5 questions. It's on your website. We'll go through them right now. We've got them. We'll put them up on the screen. And you're saying that every parent, every administrator should just ask these questions. Does the school have an active shooter policy? Does the school train staff members? And is there a single point of entry? These things, we won't go through one by one, but give us a sense as we read these questions. Why is it you think this is so important, and how did you as a group come up with these questions to ask?
Well, quite frankly, we think that these are important questions for every family to ask because we need to have parents that are engaged in the safety of their children. They need to find a way to start talking to their schools and their school administrators and their teachers to make sure that a plan is in place. Sadly, in the aftermath of this tragedy, we found that many of these questions were not answered by the school district here in Parkland, Florida.
One of those questions is, does the school have a single entry point or a single point of entry? That wasn't the case at your school.
Well, actually, it was the case. Unfortunately, late in the day, it became a change in policy or an accepted deviation in policy that the gate was opened early. And sadly, the monitor who was in charge of that gate did not stay in place to monitor who entered the campus. And then even once he saw somebody who wasn't supposed to be on the campus enter it, he did not call for a lockdown or a code red to warn and protect all the students and teachers on that campus.
Do you believe that many schools across the country are not prepared, thinking, oh, it'll never happen here. We've got such a great school with great people?
Well, I can promise you the one thing that all communities that have had a mass shooting in their schools shared in common, and that was the belief that it couldn't happen there. So we're here to tell you that it could happen anywhere. It happened to us. Please be proactive about securing the safety of your students and staff. Make sure at a minimum these questions can be answered. And of course, if you go to our website and you sign up on that page with the questions, we'll send you the answers to those questions. But again, these are just designed to begin the conversation regarding school safety.
Nikolas Cruz facing the potential of a death sentence in this case. He has said that he would exchange a guilty plea for life without parole. To what extent were parents, family members brought in with the DA in terms of your voice? Did you have a voice in this early on? What's been the communication between you and prosecutors?
Well, I'd have to say that the communication has been excellent. We've had offers to maintain a constant stream of communication. Many of the families have contacted the office of Mike Satz, the state attorney, and we feel that they've done the best they can to keep us in the loop in this trying process.
And you say trying, this is a long process. COVID-19 is not going to help that process. There's no trial date, yes. How excruciating is it for you and the others to just have this drag on and on, knowing that coming at some point is the trial, which is going to bring back basically everything?
Well, sadly for our families, every day is the same. Every day starts the same and it ends with the same result. Our loved ones were murdered at that school. I miss my Gina very much, and I know that all the other families miss their loved ones that were taken unfairly that day. It is a very slow process. Sadly, we were supposed to be underway in January, and in December, the defense was granted a continuance. And now we have COVID, and we understand that nobody planned on a pandemic, and that the courts must find a way to work around it, or wait until it's safe to get the jurors back in the court. But I can tell you that being a victim is a very difficult road. It's very painful waiting for this trial, and the trial won't be the end of it for our families, of course, because again, our loved ones are gone forever, regardless of what happens to the suspect.
Let's not talk anymore about the suspect. Let's finish with you talking about your daughter. Who was Gina?
Now, Gina was a wonderful young lady. She volunteered with a local group to help kids of differing abilities. She was involved in her church group. She loved her books. She She loved to draw and was a pretty talented artist. And she loved her little brother. She was also involved with the color guard, and luckily the Eagle Regiment, which is the band and the color guard together, had won the state championship in November of 2017. So she got to be a champion, and one of the other students, Alex Schachter, was in the band. So they got to share that, and ultimately her mother and I and her brother, we just miss her every day. She was a fantastic kid.
Tony, thank you for joining us again. The website is standwithparkland.org.